Hi everybody, today we're talking about kinship, and when you go to make your own kinship chart, there's a couple of very specific things you need to know. One is that a circle is a female, a triangle is a male. The person who you start with and whose kinship chart it is ego. So you always mark who is ego. So when you go to make yours, you are ego. I'm a girl, so I'm a circle. I'm descended from the marriage of my dad and my mom. Marriage gets you this equal sign. I have a mom and I have a dad. I don't have any siblings, so I'm not going to put anybody in there. I'm married, so I will put in my husband. Now, out of this, my mom has siblings. Okay, so she's got a brother and a brother and a sister. This brother was married and had a daughter, and a son. And they're all on the same line that I'm on, just like she and her siblings are all on their own same line, so that you know what generation people are a part of. This daughter is married, and they have a son and a daughter. Okay? They're divorced now. This brother has died. And then this sister is married, and they have 2 sons. Okay? This guy, my father, has a brother. He never married. He never had any kids. He didn't have anybody. Grandparents, my father and his brother are descended from the marriage of my grandmother and grandfather. My grandmother died, so I put a line through her. My grandfather met his high school sweetheart again at his 60th high school reunion and fell back in love with her. So he remarried and married her, and then he died, and then she died eventually, because that's what happens to people. My grandparents on this side, where my mom and her brother and her sister are all descended from my grandparents, my grandmother and grandfather, and they are still married and still alive. When you talk about your own kinship chart, the important thing to do is to remember this line are all people who are the same generation. This line are all people who are the same generation. This line are all people who are the same generation. And same thing with these kids down here. Okay? If you have somebody who was born out of a relationship that was not a marriage, then you give it one line. Okay? And if that ends, then you just cross it off. If this woman marries again, or marries in the first place, and has this husband, and then they divorce, and then is another relationship that's significant, then you start to do this to get into their kids. So it starts to take this upward turn to make sure all of their children are invested. When you go to make your chart, you want to make sure the page is landscaped, because it gets wide. It's not ever very long, but it's very wide. So make sure that you do that when you practice. Okay? Okay, good luck. Send me your drafts.